Everybody, how are we doing? I hope we're all doing well. I'm just waiting for everything to pop up so I can check sound and stuff. There we go. Okay, so how are we all doing? Today we are going to be talking about top 10 ways to live your life for free. Now, I know this sounds like a very cheerful boast, and it is a bit of a cheerful boast, but there are ways that you can supplement your own income and also to get things that you need on a basic everyday level for free or very close to it. So we're going to be looking at quite a few of those today because some of them range from the everyday to the more permanent. So, I hope you all have a brew and we can kick back and we can get started. So, number one, we're going to be looking at meal sharing apps and free food, etc. Now, the most obvious one to anyone who is not able to feed themselves, etc., is to go to the food bank. Unfortunately, though, the food banks over here, they're losing funding. They haven't got enough money. They are drowning in people right now, and then some of them are going to end up going under because they won't have the funds to keep going, which is really, really bad. But there are other ways. Okay, so if you live up in Scotland, there is an organisation called Meal Makers, and you could either be a cook or they support older people. It's a kind of like Meals on Wheels, but for everyday people to help older people. So they actually cover about 9 regions of Scotland at the moment, and they have over 1,600 older people who are on their lists, and they put home cooks or businesses together with the older people and supply free meals to those people on a daily basis, which is amazing. Now, there are different organizations in local areas. You just need to check it out and find out what's available in your area. And the best place to do that is the Citizens Advice Bureau, because they will be more on top of places like that. Hi, Drunken Chef. How you doing, darling? Hi, Rhonda. So, yeah, we're going to be looking at those. So Meal Makers is a really good one for those of you who live up in Scotland. Olio, Olio, is an app that you can get on your phone, which partners people and other people. Doesn't have to be necessarily a business. It could just be an everyday person who's had a glut on their allotment or in their garden, has some food that's turned up that they're not going to be using, and they would rather pass it on to somebody else. Now, some people charge for it, some people don't, so you just need to check out what's available in your area. To go hand in hand with that, there's there's another app called Too Good To Go. Now, that one is actually businesses, and there are some supermarkets on there, there's some fast food chains, there's some other restaurants, there's all sorts of different places that have things available. Some of it is for free. Some of it they will charge a nominal rate. So you may end up with like £10 worth of groceries or fresh fruit and veg, but it may only cost you £2. There is those options, okay? But like I said, there are freebies there to be had. You just need to go and look for them. There is also 2 other organizations in this country here in the UK. One is called the Real Junk Food Project. Now, this one works in 2 different ways. They started the project to cut down on local waste food. So they collect food from businesses, etc., that is about to be wasted, and they turn it into meals and are able to feed the community. Now, they work on a pay what you can basis, which means if you have the money, feel free to pay. If you don't have the money, they will happily let you donate your time or a skill to them, and then they will feed you, which is absolutely great. And there's also another organization like that called Food Cycle, which does something very, very similar. So you need, just have a look online. I will be putting the links to all of these. Everything I discuss will be down in the links in the description as soon as I can get them done on after this live. Okay. So there is also another website called Latest Free Stuff. Now, this one I'm not 100% on. Okay, I did have a very quick look. It's a bit like Voucher, where you do a couple of surveys and they'll send you some coupons and what have you, but it's not meals. Yes, it's free stuff, and it's up to you if you want to do the stuff like that. But you'll probably get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you might get free this and you might get free that. You don't. It's entirely up to you, but it's something that will take a little bit more time. So if you need something right now, that the other ones are the better places to look. Okay, so still on the thing of food, gardening and foraging. Okay, two very, very important things. Now, growing your own food, no matter what space you're in, is really, really important. Anything that you can grow is going to be a bonus. All right. Yes, the seeds cost money, the compost costs money. However, if you already have certain vegetables in your house from the supermarket, things like peppers, tomatoes, chilies, certain herbs, if you get the whole seeds and they're in your cupboards already, you can plant those and actually get them to grow. They may not happen straight away overnight, but they will happen, and it is a way of doing it. If you are a gardener already and you are doing this thing, the greatest way that you can create free plants is to save your own seed, to at least let 1 or 2 plants every year go to seed, so you can collect those seeds so that you've got them for the next year, so you don't have to pay that extra to get those. Okay, so other ways of getting free stuff for your garden is to make friends with a local farmer, someone who's got rabbits, someone who's got guinea pigs, anyone who's got chickens that you might know that lives down your street. Just go and grab that, because they won't know where to get rid of all their stuff all the time. Best place you can use it for is to go and chuck it on your garden, on your compost heap if you've got a garden, and use that. Okay. The other thing that you can do is go to local cafes and ask them for their coffee grounds. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what you're doing. Get their coffee grounds, because that's a great thing for the garden, and they're more than happy to give them away. Also, they may be willing to give you veg scraps and kitchen scraps and stuff to go on your compost if that's what you're wanting to do. That's another option as well. So just have a chat to them, especially if you know them already and they know you. It's already a good rapport, so have a chat to them. Don't be scared. Most of these places have to pay a premium to get rid of bio waste. So the less they have to chuck out, the happier they're going to be. Okay. On the same lines as gardening, we're going to start looking at foraging. Now, this is something that you need to look into before you start doing it. Yes, we all know what blackberries look like. Yes, most of us know what wild garlic looks like. We know what elderberries, wild fruit like plums and things like that, apples. Just take a really good walk around where you live. And even in the places that are a little bit further afield from where you live, go and have a look, see what you can find, because there's free food everywhere, even in the city. Okay, but just know what you're getting, know how to cook with it, know how to clean it so that nothing happens. What I will say is, when it comes down to foraging, as much as mushrooms are wonderful and we all love mushrooms, okay, don't go foraging for mushrooms unless you know what you're doing. Some mushrooms are okay. All right. Terry Pratchett said it best. Okay. All mushrooms are edible. Just some of them are only edible one time. Okay? Just be very careful what you're picking. Use my coffee grounds and empty tea bags in the garden. Takes a few minutes, but it all adds up. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. You know, it really, really does. Okay, so, but learn about things like that. So in an urban environment, you're liable to find things like random little plum trees, random little apple trees. You're going to find wild garlic in the spring. You're going to find blackberries around this time of the year. The elderberries will be coming out soon. All of these things you can bring home, produce, you can process them and have them to keep you going over the winter. And they've all got their really, really good uses. So if you live in the country, obviously you're going to get a wider variety. You might find yourself a hazelnut tree. You might find yourself a pear tree. You might find anything. You can find some hops and make yourself some beer. I don't know. Just whatever. Just go for it and see what you can find. See what you can find. But I tell you what, if you're really, really not sure about foraging, don't do it unless you go with somebody who does know what they're doing. At least take someone who knows what they're doing so that, you aren't going to get something that is not necessarily a good idea. Okay? Also, if you live on the coast, seafood, go fishing. Go fishing. And if you can't go fishing, mussels, whelks, which are the little sea snails that you find everywhere, they're edible. They're all edible. You'll find them on the rocks around the area. Limpets, they're edible. Seaweed, all the seaweed in this country is edible. There isn't a part of any type of seaweed that is not edible. You can eat it all. You just have to process it. And if you have it, look, places like River Cottage and other places online, you're going to find different ways of being able to use it. Now, not only does it feed you, but it also feeds your garden. So, there's two resources there that you could use it for. In Wales, there is a very specific type of seaweed that they use a lot of, and it's called lava. And they make what's called lava bread out of it. Now, lava bread is just cooked down seaweed that's been shredded. It's cooked for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And in some cases, they'll just slop it on a plate. And in other cases, they'll make little lava cakes out of it, which they will roll up in oats and fry them off in bacon grease, if that's what they have, So that's a really cool thing as well. So just think about what you have around you, where you live, and have a look. Have a look. Okay. Right. Okay. The other part of this as well is make friends with a tree surgeon or a landscaper. Tree surgeons always have bits of trees and they have to pay to get rid of them. So if you can say to them, if you can turn them into wood chips for me, I'll take them. You've got that. Or if it's a bigger tree, and say to them, look, if you've got any bigger trees coming up that might be useful for wood, for fires, let me know. Because mostly they're just happy to get rid of them. I'm not going to lie to you. They're happy to get rid of them. They really, really are. They don't want to pay whatever it costs to get rid of it. They would rather give it away, or, if you can offer them something, if they're going to deliver it to you, even if it's just like a couple of quid to cover their gas price, it depends on who you get, what they're willing to do for you. So they could also have a lot of green waste that they get rid of that's not trees, and that can go on your compost. Again, they have to pay to get rid of it. They don't want to pay to get rid of it. Trust me. So as much as they can offload on you, the happier they're going to be and the happier you're going to be. Okay? So those are a couple of really good ways of getting stuff for free. Now, we're going to move on now to volunteering your time. Okay? Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, whether it comes down to local community gardens, local community whatevers, all right, social projects, whatever. If you pick one that is something that is important to you and your existence, chances are that you will benefit from it. although you may not get paid for it, some volunteers get paid, some of them don't. But what they tend to do is at the end of the day, whatever's left over, the volunteers get to have a pick from. So, that's always a good way of looking at it as well. Charity shops are a really, really good way of looking at that as well. Volunteer a bit of your time. Not everything in a charity shop is actually sellable. Just because it's secondhand and just because you donated it and just because Aunt Marge loved it for 50 years does not mean that they can sell it. It may have a chip in it. It may just not be sellable because of the age of it, and could be ending up in the back room. Now, the back room, every charity shop has to pay for this stuff to be removed and gotten rid of. They don't want to do this. So if you're looking for different pieces of fabric and stuff like that, go and check out what they call their rag bag, or any old fabrics or clothing or anything that they've have to get rid of because it's not sellable, and grab a bag of it. They'd be more than happy to give it to you. Trust me. They'd rather it go to you than have to charge the charity a certain amount of money to get rid of it, because that's what happens at the end of the day. Oh my goodness. Ah, babbles. So, hey, astute tourist, how you doing, darling? So yeah, secondhand places that get a lot of donations and stuff like that, they will have stuff out the back which will be going into having to be removed, and that costs some money. If you come along and say, I'd like to have a look through that stuff, please, 9 times out of 10 they'll say yes. Okay, 9 times out of 10 they'll say yes. Okay, the only time that they will say no is if it's illegal for them to sell it. Okay, so anything that makes fire is illegal to sell. They're not allowed to sell secondhand car seats because they don't know what's happened in that car seat. So for kids and stuff like that, you can't get a secondhand car seat from a charity shop. They will have to dispose of it, and mostly they will ask you to take it back rather than having it in the shop at all, because it will cost them to get rid of it. See, the problem with car seats and stuff like that is they don't know, A, how many kids have been through it, 2, if your child has had some kind of illness, or 3, if the car's been in an accident or someone's dropped the car seat and it's got a crack in it, that could cause injury to another child and make the seat not as safe as it possibly could have been otherwise. So chances are 9 times out of 10 you will not find something like a child car seat that way, which is sad, but it is the way that it is, and it is law. It's not actually just a rule, it is law. So you need to be aware of that. Okay, but there are plenty of things. Now, if you're looking for old towels and stuff for your pets, then the charity shops are the places to go, because they will have what they call dog towels. Okay, so if you're just looking for old ratty towels and things like that, they're the place to go. 9 times out of 10, they'll just give them to you. They won't sell them because they can't sell them. They can't genuinely put money on them. So it's entirely up to you whether you have them for nothing, or if you volunteer a little bit of your time and say, could I please get this stuff if I give you X amount of time? They may just say, yes, please. So volunteering your time is a really good way of getting yourself resources that you may not already be able to get. Okay, so even if it's a couple of hours here or there, on and off, or if it's something that you want to do on a more regular, semi-regular basis, or even a regular basis if you can do, it's always a good thing to do. So any kind of community food organization, any kind of secondhand charity shops, any kind of social or community project, anyone like that who would be able to, you will get some benefit out of it as well. But pick the ones you want to do, but don't go fight them for it. Just be nice, tell them what you're doing. The other thing is as well, if you do live out in the country, or you do know people who have got allotments or a very large garden, talk to them. They may need help with gardening or keeping up the allotment or even getting the harvest in, because at the moment trying to get the harvest in is one of the hardest things going right now, because there aren't enough farm workers. So if you go and talk to the farmer and say, I'm willing to do a couple of days work for a year's worth of, they might quite happily turn around and go, crack on, mate. You never know. But if you live in that situation, it's a good idea to go and find out. If there are older allotment holders or ones who are disabled, etc., they may be willing to share some of their harvest with you if you're willing to do some work. Or if you know someone who's got a big garden that they're not doing anything with, talk to them about sharing the harvest if you do all the work. They're more than likely happy to do that. So you have a lot of different options if the allotment list is humongous, because I'm aware that in most major cities right now, allotments are at a premium. There are thousands of people on the waiting lists, and you may not get one for 5-6 years. So, finding different options is always a really, really good plan. Okay, so we've got all of that going for gardening at this point. Heading to work, awesome. Okay, so now websites and sell sites. Okay, so you've got places like FreeCycle and Facebook Marketplace. They have a free section. Well, everything on FreeCycle is free. You've just got to go and ask for it. Okay, just ask for it, or go through and see if anyone's getting rid of what you are looking for. All you have to do is 9 times out of 10, all you got to do is go and pick it up. Occasionally people will deliver. Very rarely. They will expect petrol money to do so, which is only fair. So it's entirely up to you. If you have a way of picking things up, do that. And yeah, you've got yourself whatever it was that you needed for nothing. I go onto Facebook Marketplace every single morning for about an hour, and I scour that thing looking for the things that are on. Tanny and I have a list. Okay, we have a list, and I look for those things that I can find either for free or at a reasonable price that we're willing to pay for it. Hi Lillian, how are you doing, darling? It's really lovely to see you. So I do that every morning. I go and have a look, and we discuss whether it's worth putting in a bid for, or whether, we ask them if it's available, depending on where in the city it is, and we go and pick it up. So yeah, we get a lot of free things that way. A lot of our furniture has come through places like Facebook Marketplace. A lot of the things for the garden have come through there. And to be honest, we don't pay very much for it at all, if we pay anything. So, it's just more about whether you can afford to go and pick them up, or if they can come and bring it to you. It's entirely up to you on that point. The other place... Oh, darling, I'm glad you caught us too. It is a really, really good topic, and I'm really enjoying this one. And actually, this was a topic that was suggested to me by somebody else because we were talking about bartering, but I'm going to get onto that in a little bit. Okay. The other place to get free stuff from is building sites. Now, I'm not talking about the big ones in town. I'm not talking about the ones that are doing the big monster builds and all that kind of thing. I'm talking about the little one around the corner that's getting a new roof, or it's got a bit of scaffolding up. They might have some debris netting on there, and just go and have a chat to them and say, what are you going to be doing with all this stuff? Do you mind if we take a few bricks, a bit of wood? Are you going to be using the scaffolding debris netting later? Can I have some of that and have it for the garden? And have a chat to them, because you never know what they're going to say. You don't know what they're going to say. And 9 times out of 10, again, builders have to pay to get rid of it. So they're happier for you to come in and get rid of half of it, and then it's your problem, not them problem. So if you can make someone happier doing that and go, do you know what? Okay, yeah, actually, you can have all that wood there. You can have those 30,000 bricks over there, or take as many as you like. And yes, the scaffolding, debris netting is all yours when we are done with it. So, go for it. Hello, how are you doing? It's good to see you. So yeah, it's all options. Just really sit down and think about what it is that you need for your home, or for your life, or any resources that you need to be able to do what it is that you want to do. Because at the bottom line of it is, no one wants to pay to get rid of stuff. So their trash is your treasure. So you want to go and you want to find the people that are having to pay to get rid of the waste that is produced from their trade or their business. And as soon as you can find those people, you're going to be able to get the resources that you want for next to nothing, if not nothing at all. Now, the next one I'm going to tell you about on this topic is skip diving. Now, as a lot of you will go, oh no, we can't do that. Well, let me tell you, yeah, you can. Okay, so industrial estates where they put all the big, warehouses and buildings and industrial people and the makers and the manufacturers and all that kind of stuff. All right, at the back of all their shops are these big skips, and they have to pay for those to go. They don't want to pay for those because that cuts into their profits. So if you go into like a carpet manufacturer or a carpet store or something like that, and you need a bit of carpet, go around the back, see what they've got that they're chucking out, because they would be more than happy for you to have it. It's probably end of roll stuff. It won't be stuff that they can sell because there may be less than a meter of it, or less than enough, or less than it would be to do a small room. They don't feel that it's worth keeping. It may be a discontinued line that they've only got a little bit of. So for you, though, it may be enough to make a rug. It may be enough to put a couple of mats down in your kitchen or down your hallway or something like that. But it's going to cost you nothing because you've gone out the back and used what's their waste. Now, it is possible that they may turn around and say, no, you can't have it. If that's the case, that's fine. Ask first. Always, always, always ask first. Don't just take it. Don't just turn up at 2 o'clock in the morning and expect it all to be there, because the chances are the bins will be locked. Okay, because they have started doing things like that. But go and talk to them. Say, look, I'm doing this project. I'd really like, is it possible to have this, or something like that. And 9 times out of 10, again, they'll be like, I don't care. Go grab what you want. I don't care. You're the one skip diving, So, they're happy to get rid of it because it costs them money and it's time and effort that they can't be bothered with. All right. Hi, Tammy. How you doing, darling? It's lovely to see you. Okay. The other things that you can find in industrial estates, if you have a cake manufacturer or a bread manufacturer or someone who produces some kind of food, chances are you'll find the big giant blue barrels. Now, those things are wonderful as water tubs and such, and you can buy new lids for them. Okay, so you may be able to use it to store your own food, or use it as a compost heap, or whatever you want to use it for. You might be able to find some of those. You might be able to find some oil drums. You might be able to find some old tiles, because again, if it's a discontinued line and they haven't got enough for a whole room, they'll probably just chuck it. They'll just get rid of it. So, whatever you might want. There's always wood around there. Anyway, if you find a bed manufacturer, they'll have wood in their skips. And there are a lot of them that are actually putting cages for the wood there for people just to collect. So if you need to, if you have a wood fire or something like that, it's always a good idea to go and check these places, because you're going to get free wood to be able to put in your wood fire or on your fire pit, whatever works, but it's free, and it's not going to landfill. Paint, bricks, pallets, tires. How many millions of things can we do for tires? We can put a little border around our gardens. We can plant potatoes in them. We can turn them into chairs. They can be plant holders. They can be all kinds of things. But I tell you what, if you go down to your local mechanic, he would be more than happy to let you have as many tires as you want, because over here, they got to pay to get rid of them, which is why they charge you now to get rid of your tires. When they change your tires, they put a little premium on there, because that's how much it costs them to get rid of them. So if you say to them, I'll take my tires, please, they'll be more than happy to do that, and you won't get charged the premium either. So, you've already got 4 tires that you can play with and crack on that way. Use what you have and what's available to you. Years ago, I made a beautiful carpet, big mat out of square carpet samples for my hall kitchen, free. Exactly. And that's the thing, is use your noggin. Think about the places that you have around you, and think about the kinds of materials that they might be using, and think about just what their excess might be, and go and have a chat to them. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, the answer will be yes, because they don't want to pay to get rid of it. Yeah, well, you'll get the odd wanker that'll turn around and go, no, you can't have it. It's going to cost this or whatever. But most of them will be fine. And the smaller companies, they'll be even better, because they'll be like, yeah, please, just take it. Take all of it. I don't care. Take all of it. But all of those things, oil barrels are great, because that you can make barbecues out of them. I've seen fridges made out of them. You can make them into anything you want, fire pits, all sorts. But they're great for in the garden and garden usage, and you can pick them up for pretty much nothing from places like industrial estates and stuff like that, the places that use them. So go for it. That's just, the people that win at this are the people that get cheeky, okay? So the cheekier you get, the more brazen you get, and the better argument you can give them, they'll be like, just take it. They'll be, just take it. Take it. We don't want it. It's all yours. The people who are going to stand back and be a bit shy about it and not ask, they're the people who are going to not be able to get the things. But just do it like you do it every day, and just ask. Because when it comes down to getting things for free and being able to live your life as free as possible, it's all about asking the questions. And if you don't ask the questions, that question is the stupidest question you could ask, because it's the one that is always a no. Okay? So that is the only stupid question, is the one that you don't ask. Hi, Ashley. How you doing, honey? It's good to see you, chicken. Right. Now, for those of you with cars and vans, all right, this one, you might actually like this one. So your car needs repairs, big repairs, okay? It's going to cost you a fortune. How about talking to the manufacturer? Talk to the manufacturer. Tell them that you'll make your car or your van into a sponsorship logo for them for a year, 2 years. Actually, a year. A year's usually enough. And then you can put their stuff on the back of your van. All right? So they could have their sponsorship thing back of your van for free for a year. You've rented that out, but I need this part, this part, this part, and this part for that. I don't want your money. I just want the parts. Find yourself a sponsor. You never know. The people who ask get the best bits. Also be sure you can move the things the distance to your place. Yeah, e.g. car or caravan. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, awesome. He's on the allotment. Woohoo. So, yeah, ask about sponsorship. Ask. Your local garage with the 5 guys in there that you see every day of your life as you drive past, have a chat to them. If you can get the parts for nothing, they might be willing to put the stuff on and help you put the stuff on. If you put a bumper sticker on for them, they might be willing to do that. You don't know. I mean, I don't like asking the smaller places because they are bread and butter mum and pop shops. What you pay them is going to put their kids in dance classes and feed their family. But, occasionally you'll find a nice one who'll turn around and go, I know you're struggling. Let's do this. Okay? Just don't take advantage of it. All right? Be good. Maybe help them with it if you can, so that you can learn to do it. And on saying that, next one I want to talk about is learn your skills. Learn your skills. Get your skills up. You can't do any of this stuff without getting your skills up. If you don't know how to use a hand tool or a power tool or whatever, how are you going to fix things? How are you going to sort it out? You need to learn how to use these things. And if you don't know, learn. Do you know how many free courses are available through community classes and stuff like that? They don't cost you anything. There are millions of them. They're run by people who have been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. They know what they're doing. And you can get there and you can learn for nothing. Check with your local libraries because they'll tell you where the courses are. Most major cities have a list. They have a pamphlet even of classes. Some of them may cost, but some of them are run by council as well, and they're fully funded, and they're there for people to learn skills, basic knowledge. So things like hand sewing. I'm not talking about getting a big machine out and going chunk, 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 taking your fingers out. I'm talking about needle and thread, learning how to sew on a button, learning on how to, make something a little bit prettier, fix a small seam that's ripped, just using hand stitching techniques. It's not hard to sew on a button. It's not hard to fix these things as long as you learn the skills. And sometimes you just got to sit there and just batter it out until you can. I mean, YouTube is the best resource that we have at the moment for learning how to do all of these things. If there's something that you want to learn and you can't find a free course in your area, I can guarantee they've got it on YouTube somewhere. Someone's got it. Someone's showing it. Someone's showing you how to do it. So there are millions of people teaching you to cook. There's hundreds of thousands of people teaching you to sew. There's several thousand people teaching you how to fix your car. There's several thousand people teaching you how to fix your tumble dryer and your washing machine. They just pick your skills up, learn. These skills are the things, they are survival skills at the end of the day, and especially the way things are, especially over here in the UK right now. If you don't have those skills, you need to learn them. It's so important. And starting to look at things in a different way, okay? Looking at what you have around your place in a different way. Grab a free wooden pallet and make a planter. You might have a hidden talent. Exactly. You don't know. And it doesn't have to be one of those ones that's just a tap. Hang on a second, guys. I've got someone at the door. Oh. Oh, good grief. Apologies for that. It's postman. All right. Woo, okay. Postman, that can wait till later. Right. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be a vertical planter where you just put the pallet upright and put a bit of mesh in it. Take it apart, use the wood. You never know. You can make some really nice planters out of a bit of pallet wood. out of an old pallet, and it won't even look like a pallet. 9 times out of 10 people won't pick it up. They won't figure it out. They won't know. How are they going to know? You know? And you never know. Like Ashley said, you may have a hidden talent for it. And if that's the case, you can start selling them. Because I'll tell you what, 2 pallets will make one pallet will make 2 really nice planters. Those planters at the moment on Facebook Marketplace, and I've been looking, they're about 30 quid a pop. £30. £30 each for those planters made out of resourced wood. You know, you could end up with a new sort of source of income from that, from free pallet wood. You know, YouTube is a great learning, teaching resource. Yes, learn fun skills, and it always comes in handy. It does. And if you're worried about learning to put a button on a shirt before you've really learned how to do it, get a piece of old fabric and a few different buttons and just try and sew those on. Learn, teach yourself how to do it. You know, my plant shelfie is actually a bed frame. That is awesome. How cool is that? Guys, if you're not following Princess Lillian's Gardens, please go give her a follow. She's actually got some really awesome stuff in her garden. I made a pallet out of a coffee table. Do you mean you made a coffee table out of a pallet? Well, you got it. What? Okay, so yeah, get your skills up. Make a piece of art to teach yourself how to use the things that you need to do the actual project you want to do. You know, make yourself a piece of something creative, just to get your hand in and go, oh, actually, this isn't so hard. You know, I've got a couple of friends that are actually doing some really creative little pictures and things like that out of buttons, but they're sewing each one on, but they're just making a picture out of buttons. Before she started, she couldn't sew a button. No, you just spun it around. Oh my God. Okay. Fair enough. Good grief. That's awesome. So yeah, basic skills. Learn how to use your hand tools. Not only are they cheaper to buy than a power tool, but if you can't afford the electric to heat your home, to cool your home, to cook your dinner, to even turn the lights on, it's no good having a lovely range of power tools if you can't use them. Learn to use your hand tools. Now you can pick them up relatively cheaply. Okay, you can find them on Facebook Marketplace all the time. They're all over on Facebook Marketplace. They're on place. Go to car boot sales, yard sales, and garage sales, and you know, moving sales, and just have a look what's available. You know, but learn those skills. And if they're a bit rusty, doesn't mean they don't work. It just means you need to do a little bit of work to make them look pretty again. And I can absolutely guarantee you there are definitely videos of that happening on YouTube because I've followed them myself. Okay, so there are plenty of videos out there telling you how to refurbish and do up old hand tools so that they look like new again. Okay, so it's not a hard thing to do. I'm a bit old-fashioned. I prefer using hand tools. I do too, mate. I've had a bit of a brush with death with the whole power tool things over the last few days, and I most definitely prefer hand tools. But you know, needs must, and I don't actually have the strength in my hands and my arms to keep sawing for as long as I needed to, so I had to use what I had. You know, and so hand tools are great because they're there when you need them. Learning to sew. So we've done that one. So it's hand sewing. Also, like if you want to get a machine and you want a decent machine that's going to last you forever, get yourself an old hand crank Singer. They're about £25 at the moment at the charity shops. That's all they've been for the last 6 or 7 years. There's so many of them around in the UK. It's ridiculous. But also teach yourself how to service it. Servicing a sewing machine can cost anywhere from about £80 to £250, depending on whether you need parts or who it is, or if it's a specialist machine, you may need a specialist in to do that. But the basic needs of servicing your own machine will take you about an hour of your day. If you've kept the servicing up regularly, my monster in there is going to take me a good 8 hours because it's been in storage for a few years. But I can use it when the lights go out. I can use it when there's no electric, which means that I am one step ahead at this point because I can still use it. And because I do know, and I have taught myself how to service it, it does mean that, you know, I can do that at the very least. Have to go, I've got gherkins plant, crack on, sweetheart, enjoy it. Gardening, teach yourself to garden, even if it's just to start off with getting a few pots from, you know, getting a few herbs going on a window box. It's something, just teach yourself. It's all good. There's so many millions, trillions of gardening videos out there, you know. For those of you with very limited space, and I mean limited as in you might have a small balcony because you live in a high rise, go and follow Cloud Gardener. He will show you exactly what you can do with an entirely tiny, wee little space on a balcony on a high rise building, because he grows his own food. He grows all sorts of things up there, and it's incredible what he does with that. Learn basic repairs. Learn how to do your basic repairs. When a washing machine goes, the chances are that there's two things. One, either you've been using a powder on a cold wash and it's not dissolving properly, especially on a front loader. Okay. And if that's the case, you just need to clean out the pipes. It's a 10-minute job. 10 minutes, 5 minutes in some cases, you know, but I'll say 10 minutes if you're not sure quite what you're doing. All right. So that's not going to take you very long. What you need to do then is change your washing powder, because if you're only doing a cold wash, you need to change it to a liquid because it's already dissolved. All right. And that's one of the things. The other thing is the brushes. The brushes cost £8 to replace. But if you get a guy out to do it, he's going to charge you nearly £200 to come out and fix it. Okay, so you've got a choice there of doing an £8 fix or a £250 fix, which most people end up just getting rid of the washing machine and buying a new second-hand one. And I understand that. But, you know, £8 is a lot cheaper still than a free £50 washing machine that may also have the same issue. Okay, so the other thing is with dryers, the first thing that's going to go is the wheels and the belt. Now, the wheels and belt, I have a video on that because we'd fixed ours last year. Now, I bought mine back in 2013. There was nothing wrong with it. It cost us £25, I think, for the wheels and belt. That's the only thing we've had to fix on it ever. And yet, you know, because they do wear out, they wear out. But you will find the parts for your machine. There are several videos on fixing the wheels and belt on your machine, and they are the next things to go. So, you know, that's usually the biggest fix on a dryer. So learn your skills, learn how to repair things. Learn how to do basic mechanics. Okay? Teach yourself to fix the tires, to change a tire. Teach yourself how to do an oil change. Teach yourself how to change the air filters and all of that kind of thing, and how to check the oil and how to check your lubricants and how to check all of that stuff. Teach yourself. Teach yourself, because honestly, it's a lot cheaper than sending the car in for a service. It is so much cheaper, because once you bought those bottles that you need, they're probably going to last you a good few years, and that's it. But you haven't had to pay for a huge amount of labor for a job that you could have done yourself in like a quiet afternoon when you had nothing else to do, you know. Right. So there we go on those. Now, this one could be a bit of a contentious idea, but in every college, in every trade school, they're desperate for guinea pigs. And I don't mean the furry, fluffy type. I mean people. So if you want to get your hair done, go down to the local college or the beauty school, offer yourself up as a guinea pig. Sometimes they charge you, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're going to a competition or they're doing an exam and they need a person to stand in and have their hair done for that. Offer yourself up for that. It's free. You don't have to pay for that. Okay? It's occasionally, you know, if it is, especially if it is exam time or competition time, you can get your nails done, you can get your hair done, you can get all your bits done, you know, because they all need guinea pigs. They all need to learn on actual people. The other thing is as well, if you know of anyone who's doing any courses like bone therapy or acupuncture or anything like that, masseurs, they all need people to practice on as well. All right? They're not allowed to charge for it, so you could get a free massage, or you could get free bone therapy, or you could get free any of that. Go and put yourself up for it. Put your name down. Be a guinea pig. You know, you're not only going to help yourself and have your treatment that you want, but you're also going to help them because they're going to learn to do it better. Sure, it may be a bit lopsided, but who cares? At the end of the day, you know, I mean, I walk around looking like a giant puffball most of the time, so I wouldn't care. So, you know, just, it'll be fun and it'll be an experience. You'll be helping someone who, you know, would be appreciative of that. The beautiful treadle machine, swapped it for a gas fire in 93. Yeah. Treadles, hand cranks, whatever is hand tools, man. It's the way to go every time. Okay, so we've got a few bonuses here too now. This one is specific to the UK. Now, there is a big thing out where you can get your solar panels put on your house, and it can be fully funded by the government. You get a government grant, they will put everything on together. You then have that solar panels, you get the electricity you need. The way that it works is this, okay? It's hooked up to the grid. It's not hooked up to batteries, it's hooked up to the grid. So you have use of that electric all the way through the day that it is producing electric. So you want to do everything that costs you the most money in the early part of the day so that you are not using the grid electric. Obviously at night time, you might have lights on, you might have the TV on, the fridge is going to be going, the freezer is going to be going, but it's not going to be as expensive as if you were doing 3 loads of washing. And in the middle of winter, 3 loads of washing and 3 loads of drying is going to cost you the earth. Let's be honest. Okay? If you have food that needs to be cooked and you found out that you've got solar panels, what you need to do is, if you find out that you've got solar panels on your roof, is that you need to ring up your electricity supplier and you need to say to them, I'm on a funded system. And they will change your tariff immediately and backdate. So if you didn't really realize that beforehand, they have to backdate it because it's already been there and you've been using it, and they can't charge you. They can't charge you. If you're using the electric within the day of the time that those solar panels are working, they cannot charge you for that electric unless you've gone over and above what you're producing. So during the summer, it's a great time. I'm now going to be, see, I'm not going to lie, I've been terrified of putting on my dehydrator, okay, because it cost, before electric went up, it was costing £10 for half a day, so £20 for a whole day to run it. Okay, we have a huge solar panel array taking up half our roof. So that thing's going on, and I'm going to be chugging it out all over summer to be getting as much stuff as I can, dehydrated, through that all the way through summer so that we have it, and then it'll get put away until winter is over, and we will keep everything as minimal as possible with the electric use. So yeah, that is, use it. It's a resource. If you haven't got solar panels and you are on benefits of any sort, you are entitled to the full grant. Get it done. Get it done. Ring them up and they come and service it for you for nothing. For nothing. Okay, so if you're in a council house, it hasn't had it done, all you have to do is ring up your housing estate manager, say, I want the solar panels on my roof. They'll tell you where to go, what to get, all the people to ring and all of that kind of thing, and you can get it done, and they'll get it done for you. And the sooner you get it on, the better it's going to be. Better off you're going to be. I'm actually really not happy using the ceramic hobs, the induction hobs and stuff, because the cookers here are so small and my pots are really big, and to run one of my pots on a ceramic hob, I would need all new pots. So I'd not only be up for a new oven and hob, I would be up for new pots. It's very, very expensive. But saying that, there are the other electrical stoves that have got the ring top, which we may be looking into because of this information that we've been given. So I'm more comfortable using one of those. I've used them forever. As much as I love my gas, and I do love my gas because I can turn it on and off, once you learn how to do those, it's just as easy. But it does mean that we're not going to be paying for it, and it means that I can be doing more processing of our food on the stove when it comes down to the canning up things like the veg and things like that, or sauces and things on there without worrying about it, because I don't need to worry about the electric anymore. And that's a huge relief. I can't tell you the relief that has given. I can't tell you the relief that has given, because we all know that in October, even though the electric prices have just gone up 53%, in October they're about to hit us for another 70. Okay, so it's, for us, it's just been like, wow. Okay, so if you haven't got it done and you live in a council house, you're entitled to get it done for nothing. Get it done. Get it done as fast as you can. Seriously. And then just say to your electric supplier that you are on funded system. Okay? Now we're going to get to the two bonus. All right? We've got barter. Now, barter is the system everybody used before money. So, you've got too many of those. Well, I've got too many of these. Well, how about we swap? Or you've got some of those, you want some of those, but you haven't got anything in return. How about you work for it for a couple of hours? That's barter. Now, they've taken it up a step. There is something now called the barter card. Now, I will put a link to that down below in the description. It's for individuals or for businesses, and you rack up barter points, all right, so that you can purchase the things you need, get the services you want by swapping your own services and goods to the same price, and you rack up those points. And once you have enough points, you can actually purchase the things that you wanted from them, but it hasn't cost you anything or them. Okay, so apart from the swapping of the goods or the services or whatever, but no money has actually exchanged hands. It may be that you work in a service industry, so you may have, skills where you teach or can go into their building and do some work or something or whatever. But have a look at Barter Card, because it is a really, really good way to go. And they also give you a line of credit of 1,000 barter coins before you start. Okay, so that's a really, really good one to have a look at as well. But bartering in general is a really good system. Now, if you have good neighbors, you've got a good community, get together with them. A lot of allotment owners that I know of are happy to swap. If they've got gluts of things, they will swap with other people for whatever they have a glut of. And that's barter at its simplest form. You know, we used to do it when all the kids were little. One of us would have all the kids, all the little kids, so everyone else could go and do the shopping or go and do what they wanted. And then the next week it would be somebody else, and the next week it'd be somebody else. Well, that's bartering at the very smallest point as well, because, you know, you're looking after somebody else's kids so they can do their thing, so that when you need to go out and do your thing, they'll look after your kids. It's just the way it goes, you know. Obviously, you need to be very, very aware of your friends, and you need to make sure that your kids are safe, and you need to know that. And you know the friends that you're more happy to take their kids than let your kids go to them. That's fine. But you do what you need to do. You know, it may be that you turn around and say, can you look after my kids because I'm working, but I can make these meals and I can do that for you. It could be a completely different thing like that. It could be anything at all. But bartering at its bottom line is, you have too much of something, or you have a skill, or you have something, you have time on your hands that you can give to somebody else in exchange for goods and services back. So if you can work around that, that's a really good thing. Now, there is a system that they've actually set up in Germany, I think it is, where there's certain streets that the whole street gets together and they decide from there who's growing what, and they're growing it for the whole street. And then they get in the middle at harvest time and they swap it all around so that everybody gets some, which is just brilliant. And it should be that way. Okay, so obviously some of these things aren't going to help some of your bills, because obviously, you know, I'm not talking about when a festival rings you or an event rings you and says, please, can you come and do what it is that you do at our event? We can't pay you, but you'll get exposure. All right. I've never, ever in my life earned a penny off exposure. Ever. Not a cent. Not a penny have I ever earned off any festival or any event that I went and did for the exposure. All right. So exposure, you can't go, that's not a barter thing. All right. That's just someone trying to run an event on the cheap and not respecting the worth of your time. That's very, very different thing to barter. And you need to make sure that you understand the difference. Okay. So yeah, bartering is great, but it could be that your local mechanic might have some spare whatevers and is willing to do some work on your car if you supply him with a massive great box of veg, you know, because he doesn't have to go out and buy those veg. So he's got an hour then that he can spare on your, you know, on your car. It may work that way. Or there may be a local seamstress who may be willing to teach you how to do hand sewing, but you can't afford her time, but she's willing to do you can do something else for her in return. That's barter. That's what you want to be doing. That's resources, and services and goods at its absolute best free form. Okay. Now, this very, very last one, I'm going to run through this fairly quickly because the rules are different in different countries. So, you know of some abandoned land. You know of some abandoned land. And it's been abandoned for a while. No one's picked it up. No one's interested. Put a fence around it. Put some no trespassing signs, private property on it. In 2 years, you can get a right of claim for that land, and it will be your land. but you have to look after it. In the meantime, you have to prove that you're using it. You can't just sit there with it and do nothing with it. You have to prove that you're using it and you're looking after it and you're doing all the kind of management of that land, okay, for those 2 years. And then you can go up to the local council and go, right, well, I've got this piece of land that I found. It doesn't belong to anyone, or the person has died. It hasn't been picked up. It hasn't been claimed. And, prove that you've done it. You can get yourself free land that way. Yes. Everyone's gone very quiet. The other thing you can do as well is if there is an abandoned building. Now, these are the ones that people don't talk about, okay? If there is an abandoned building, there is still something in this country called squatters' rights. Again, it's a 2-year process, but if you can prove in that time that you have made improvements on the building, that you have proper necessities of life on the building, so that means that you have been paying or providing electric and water, possibly gas if there's gas to the thing. If you've been paying for it, providing it, you've kept the building in a usable, repairable, livable state, then after 2 years, then that building can be yours under squatters' rights, because you can prove that you've been living there for 2 years. I'm not saying go into an empty house in Chelsea because you know it belongs to a politician or someone with a lot of money and say, oh, I'm claiming squatters' rights. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. Every council has an abandoned house and land list. Okay? Some of them, they will be expecting some kind of cost to go to pay for it. Some of them, they won't. But if some of them have been abandoned for more than 10 years, they won't care if someone moves in as a squatter or puts a piece of, starts taking on the responsibility of the land management. They won't, because it's one less job for them. It's less money that they have to invest into a dead property. Okay? So what you need to do is get down to your local council and ask about their abandoned or dead house and land list and have a chat to them about that. You may end up with a free house. You may end up with some free land. But you have to do it by the book. You can't just walk on in, okay? Do it by the book. Prove you've done it by the book. Have a paper trail. Have evidence. If you have to have a YouTube channel to prove what you're doing, prove what you're doing that way. Do it. The land bit sounds terrifying. It is, but there's also a guy here on YouTube that has done it and will talk you through it and also has a book on it. Okay, so it is possible. It is absolutely possible to do it. Okay, the rules are different in every country, and in some different counties the rules are slightly different, but the majority of the rules are national rules, so they're not local body rules. So you can just do what the government actually tells you is allowed, what's legal. But make sure you do your research first before you do that. You don't just pitch a tent somewhere and just go, it's mine. Okay, you want to check it first and make sure that you're doing the right thing. Okay, so the other thing I will say is this. If you are going to go foraging, all right, think about other people. Think about what else might be eating what you are taking. Do not strip forage an entire area. If you do that, the animals and the birds that rely on that during the winter will not be able to get it. They rely on it. The old Romany rules are you take 1 in 4. 1 in 4 of whatever you find, because you leave one for another one, You leave one for the wildlife, and the last one you leave for the tree, because whatever falls off feeds that tree or bush or land. Okay, so you got one for you, one for the next person, one for the animals, and one for the land. Okay, if you go by those rules, then you won't go wrong. But strip bearing a foraging area is awful and shouldn't be done. You're not entitled to take all of it, because there are other things at play, and you need to take those into account when you're foraging for food. Okay, but there we go. That's what we've all got to. We're an hour and 10 minutes. I've got through my top 10 ways to live your life for free. If you guys have any other ideas, do pop them down in the chat or down in the comments below if you're watching this later on. I would love to hear from you. If you have ideas that you would like me to cover or topics you would like me to cover on a Friday budgeting live, please let me know. You can get hold of me either in the comments below through my email on my about page, or it's also down below in the comments. All of my socials are down in the comments. All of that. There is no way that you can't get hold of me. I am totally get hold of a bull. Bull. Yeah. And there we go. So I really do hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I hope I've given you some ideas. And I will see you again next week. I'm aware that I wasn't here last week, but I was filming. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I will be here next week. Same time, same channel. I will see you guys later on. Take it easy. Look after yourselves. And I love you guys heaps. Bye.